A justice sans ethics and shame. One was reminded of the Bangalore Declaration on Judicial Ethics in the wake of a recent revelation on a Supreme Court justice's total lack of it in his recorded conduct. It is a set of principles and standards of conduct for judges. It was adopted by the International Judicial Conference in Bangalore, India in 2002. The declaration was based on the following 6 core values: independence, impartiality, integrity, propriety, equality, and competence and diligence. The Bangalore Declaration, as it came to be known as, has been endorsed by a number of international organizations, including the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. It is now widely regarded as the leading international standard for judicial ethics. These thoughts were triggered following a blockbuster report published in September 2023 by a web journal which boldly revealed that the wife of a Supreme Court justice worked with an activist and the mega donor to a political party closely linked to her husband to form a group to exploit a ruling from the top court. The judgment issued by the Supreme Court in 2010 overturned a century of campaign finance law and opened the floodgates to unlimited spending by corporations and unions on independent expenditures. The ruling has had a profound impact on the nation's politics, allowing wealthy donors to exert more influence over elections than ever before. According to the Scoop report, the wife was instrumental in the formation of a non-profit organization in the days and months leading up to the judgment. The entity was created with the express purpose of exploiting the ruling to advance the intended or set agenda of the non-government organization and the entities in and around it. The gentleman, one doubts if he could be one, who is now the president of a prime legal society, played a key role in the founding of the non-governmental organization. He also helped in connecting the wife with a billionaire donor who has given millions of moolah to his chosen political party. This society and other NGOs allied to convenient causes. The billionaire was a major financial backer of the society, and also he provided the wife of the judge with a paid position on the group's board of directors. This raised serious ethical questions, as it is generally considered inappropriate for judges' spouses to accept paid positions from groups that have interests before the Supreme Court. The report also found that the wife and society head were involved in a number of other activities that could be seen as unethical. For example, they worked together to pressure justices in the Supreme Court to vote in favor of the said ruling. They also lobbied lawmakers to support legislation that would further weaken campaign finance laws. The September report has sparked renewed calls for an ethics code for Supreme Court justices. There is currently no binding code of ethics for justices, who are only required to follow the Supreme Court's ethics guidelines. These guidelines are voluntary and have been criticized for being too lax. The report has also raised questions about whether the said justice should recuse himself from cases involving the billionaire or other individuals who have given him or his wife gifts. The justice has so far refused to recuse himself from any cases involving the said entities, but some legal experts have argued that he should do so to avoid any appearance of bias. This devastating breaking news report is a significant development in the ongoing debate about ethics and the Supreme Court. The report has raised serious questions about the justice's ethical judgment and has renewed calls for reform in the Supreme Court's ethics rules. The report also highlights the growing influence of dark money in politics. The fact that a group like the society was able to operate in secret and raise millions of moolah for wealthy donors is deeply troubling. It is clear that the ruling in question has had a number of unintended consequences, and that is time to revisit the issue of campaign finance reform. Not long before, it was reported that this very Supreme Court justice had received luxury vacations and far more gifts from wealthy friends than previously known. The report published in August 2023 found that the justice had accepted trips on private planes, stays of luxury resorts, and tickets in sporting events from a political megadonor without disclosing them on his financial disclosure forms. and even got an old house of his mother sold for a fancy price. The report also found that a mega donor paid for the private school tuition of a relative of the Supreme Court justice whom he had said he was raising as a son. This raised further questions about the justice's ethics. The justice has denied any wrongdoing and said that he has now complied with all applicable ethical rules by disclosing the favors, even if belatedly. However, the news reports have cast doubt on these claims and has led to increased scrutiny of the justice's ethical conduct on the bench. Interestingly, with another justice also under the scanner, a request for legislature to the Chief Justice of Supreme Court to appear for exchanges on justices' ethics rules and issues has been politely declined as not called for. Before anyone gets any crazy ideas, please, one would rush in to confirm that thankfully one is grateful that the above developments have nothing to do with the Supreme Court of India and or any of our justices on the pulpit. It concerns the Supreme Court of United States or SCOTUS and its justices Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito, another justice for now. One gets a vicarious thrill on the tottering at the top of the most significant institution in the land of the free, and the visceral polarization in US of A as a democratic polity adds to the delight one has. The oldest democracy has lost its moral and ethical fiber to preach to the world from its self-proclaimed status as leader of the free. Say, we the people.